Your messages are not getting answered anymore. Now, the quiet has no end. No reason was given, no signs were shown. Simply put, she has walked away, and in response, you freaked out. You sent yet another message asking if she was doing all right. Then another, apologizing for something you weren't even sure you did. You called twice. You checked her social media obsessively, searching for clues. You asked mutual friends what happened, hoping they'd give you the answer. She wouldn't. You replayed every conversation in your mind at 3 in the morning, searching for the exact moment you lost her. You tried everything to get her attention, reminded her of the good times, sent her a song, maybe even showed up somewhere you knew she'd be. You told her how much she meant to you in an emotional text message. With every desperate attempt to reach her, you felt her slipping further away. You chased her, but she was running away. You tried to reach out, but the silence was icy. Now you feel stuck in a bad dream. You check your phone again and again. Each few minutes you do not know what you did wrong. You are scared you have lost her for good. This is hard and it hurts. But here is the truth no one tells you. All those things you did, each sad and wild thing you tried to get her back, they only made you lose her more. Every move you made to get her back made it worse. And the one thing that could bring her back, the one move that would make her think about you, miss you, maybe even chase you, is the exact thing you're too terrified to do. Nothing. Absolute silence. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why doing nothing is the most powerful thing you can do right now, and why every second you waste chasing her is destroying any chance you have left. What if all that you do just makes things worse? What if each text you send, each time you try to talk, each word you say, is what makes her move far from you? What if the one thing that could bring her back to you is the thing you fear the most? To do nothing at all. To do nothing might feel odd. It may even seem mean, but can not doing a thing help? Can being quiet fix your bond? Does leaving really help her come near to you again? Does your silence make her miss you more? But the reality is this: in some cases, especially when a woman has distanced herself, silence works, and the only reason is because it is the only method that is effective. And to comprehend the why of this scenario means to comprehend some uncomfortable truths about some psyche elements, attraction, and relationship value. The power of silence is rooted in a simple but profound principle. People want what they can't have, and they lose interest in what comes too easily. When you chase someone who is pulled away, you're broadcasting several messages simultaneously, all of them unattractive. You're signaling that you need her more than she needs you. You're demonstrating that your emotional stability depends on her attention. You're showing that you have nothing better to do than focus on someone who isn't focusing on you. You're proving that you don't respect yourself enough to walk away from someone who isn't treating you with basic consideration. Every desperate text, every explanation, every attempt to convince her to come back reinforces these messages and makes you less attractive in the process. When you're being the opposite, when you begin not to chase, when you completely quiet down, when you withdraw your attention and energy from someone who ain't responding, you create a void. You change the dynamics. Now, the individual who felt at ease to dismiss you will begin to feel your absence. The individual who thought of you and took your attention for granted will understand it's no longer accessible. The person who was certain you'd always be there waiting begins to wonder if maybe they were wrong. Silence forces her to confront the reality of losing you, and that reality often looks very different from the fantasy of having you always available as a backup option. This isn't manipulation. This isn't playing games. This is self-respect in action. When someone pulls away from you, when they stop responding, when they create distance without explanation, they are communicating something clear through their behavior. They don't value your presence enough to maintain basic communication. Whether they're confused, distracted, testing you, or genuinely losing interest doesn't matter. What matters is that their actions are not aligned with someone who respects and values you. And the only appropriate response to being devalued is to remove yourself from the situation, not to chase harder, hoping they'll suddenly recognize your worth. The mistake most men make is continuing to invest in someone who has stopped investing in them. They operate from a scarcity mindset that says this particular woman is somehow irreplaceable, that losing her would be a catastrophe, that they need to do whatever it takes to keep her around. This mindset creates the exact energy that repels women. Desperation is universally unattractive. Neediness kills desire. When you can't walk away from someone who isn't treating you well, you signal that you don't believe you have other options, that you don't think you're valuable enough to deserve better, that you're willing to tolerate poor treatment rather than be alone. Silence disrupts the cycle. When hounding someone and then stopping, you're sending an implicit message. I am self-respecting enough to distance myself from people who disrespect me. I don't need validation from people who don't offer it. I have a life to live, and I won't be patient for someone to figure out whether I'm worth their time. This attitude is rare and therefore highly valued. Most people become more desperate and more willing to lose themselves to face rejection or distance. The person who can walk away without anger, begging, or any form of drama, is the only one who is truly different. From a psychological perspective, silence leverages several powerful principles. First, there's the principle of scarcity. When something becomes unavailable, it becomes more valuable. As long as you're always available, always responsive, always waiting, there's no scarcity. She knows she can reach out whenever she wants and you'll be there. But when you disappear, when your attention and presence are no longer guaranteed, scarcity is created. Suddenly, what was taken for granted becomes something that might be lost forever. And that shift in perception changes everything. Next, let's talk about the principle of investment. People tend to appreciate what they put their effort into. In this particular case, she was the one pulling away, and you were the one investing, chasing, and trying to keep the connection alive. This created an imbalance in the relationship with you, putting more effort into the relationship than she was, and therefore, losing the appreciation of the relationship in the process. When you stop investing, and she starts to wonder about you, starts to see if you have made an effort to reach out, starts to wonder why you've gone quiet, she starts to put mental and emotional energy into you. The more she thinks about you, the more valuable you become to her. Third, there's the principle of mystery and curiosity. When someone is constantly available, constantly explaining themselves, constantly trying to maintain connection, there's no mystery. You know exactly where they stand, what they want, how they feel. But when someone suddenly goes silent, especially after being consistently present, it creates a gap in the narrative. Why did he stop reaching out? Did I misjudge how much he cared? Is he talking to someone else? Has he moved on? These questions create curiosity, and curiosity drives action. She starts reaching out, not because you convinced her to, but because she genuinely wants to know what happened, why the dynamic shifted, where you went. The practical application of silence requires discipline and genuine detachment. This isn't about going silent while secretly hoping she'll notice and reach out. That's still chasing, just in a more passive form. Real silence means actually letting go of the outcome. It means accepting that she might never reach out again, and being okay with that because you've decided that your self-respect is more important than this particular relationship. It means redirecting all the energy you were spending on her toward yourself, your goals, your growth, your life. When you go silent, you don't announce it. You don't send a final message explaining that you're stepping back. You don't make dramatic statements about needing space. You simply stop. Stop texting. Stop calling. Stop checking her social media. Stop asking mutual friends about her. Stop making yourself available for breadcrumbs of attention when she feels like tossing them your way. You become genuinely unavailable, not because you're playing a game, but because you've chosen to invest your time and energy in people and pursuits that actually reciprocate. During this period of silence, predictable things happen. At first, she might not even notice. If she was genuinely disinterested, your silence might simply confirm what she already felt, and she'll continue on without you. That's actually the best outcome in many cases because it gives you clarity and allows you to move on from someone who wasn't right for you. But more often, especially if there was genuine connection before she pulled away, she will notice. And the noticing happens in stages. Stage 1 is confusion. She expects you to reach out like you always have. When you don't, she might assume you're busy or that her message got lost. She's not concerned yet because she's still operating under the assumption that you'll always be available. Stage 2 is curiosity. Days pass and you haven't reached out. This is unusual. She starts wondering why. Maybe she checks your social media to see if you're okay, if you've posted anything, if there's any indication of what you're doing. Stage 3 is concern. More time passes, the silence continues. Now she's actively thinking about you, wondering what happened, questioning whether she miscalculated how much you cared. Stage 4 is action. She reaches out often with a casual message designed to test whether you're still interested, whether you've moved on, whether she still has access to your attention. A man's response to her after a period of silence speaks volumes. This is when the majority of men go silent and undo everything they accomplished. Once they see she has reached out, they are relieved and pivots back to the chase. This tells her that they were simply waiting for a go-ahead from her to chase again. Once again, she holds the power. This creates the scarcity and the mystery that the previous silence offered. Losing the previously established equilibrium by restating the same dynamic is the wrong answer. The ideal response is neutral, emotional, and relaxed. This does not complain of a complete lack of response. That is just childish. On the other hand, when she reaches out, you do not drop everything and respond to her. You respond when it's convenient to you, with friendly, but not overly invested energy. The goal isn't to punish her or to play hard to get. The goal is to genuinely be someone who has moved on with their life. Someone who isn't sitting around waiting for her attention. Someone who is perfectly fine whether she's in the picture or not. This genuine detachment is what creates the space for her to actually miss you. To recognize what she lost. To realize that you aren't going to chase her forever. And if genuine connection existed before, That recognition often leads her to reinitiate with real interest, not just testing the waters, but genuinely wanting to reconnect. But here's the critical point that many men miss. Silence only works if you're actually okay with her never coming back. If you're going silent as a tactic, as a strategy to manipulate her into returning, she sensed the inauthenticity when she does reach out. You'll be too eager, too available, too obviously waiting for her. Real silence, the kind that creates genuine attraction, comes from a place of abundance and self-respect. You went silent because you valued yourself too much to chase someone who pulled away. You stayed silent because you built a life that's fulfilling with or without her. You respond calmly when she reaches out because you're genuinely doing well, not because you've been sitting around hoping for this moment. Silence also saves you from the trap that you can be someone's backup space. There's a chance the woman you are interested in is pulling away because of something that is beyond your control. She could be in the process of exploring options with someone else. She could be in the middle of something personal that she does not want to discuss. She could be in the middle of a test to see if she is really that good. She could simply be confused about herself, leaving herself available to reach out and making herself the choice while she figures all of that out isn't good. If she has choices that don't work out, she has choices that don't resolve themselves. And she has choices that won't show her that she can do better. You are a backup space. Going silent removes you from that degrading position. You're not waiting around to see if she chooses you. You're not available as a comfort option while she explores other possibilities. You're not giving her the security of knowing you'll be there no matter how she treats you. You're communicating through your actions that if she wants access to you, to your time, your attention, your presence in her life, she needs to treat you with consistent respect and clear communication. Anything less than that and you're gone. Not out of anger or revenge, but out of simple self-respect. The transformation that happens during genuine silence is as much about you as it is about her. When you stop focusing on someone who pulled away, when you redirect all that mental and emotional energy toward yourself, profound changes occur. You remember who you were before this situation consumed you. You reconnected with friends you'd been neglecting. You invest in hobbies and goals you'd put on hold. You start taking better care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. You build a life that's genuinely fulfilling, not one that's on hold, waiting for someone else to validate it. This transformation is visible to everyone around you, including her if she's paying attention. You're not the desperate person who is chasing her anymore. You're someone who has moved forward, who is thriving, who has become more attractive simply by choosing to focus on yourself rather than on someone who wasn't reciprocating. And this version of you, the one who is centered in his own life, pursuing his own goals, unbothered by her absence, is far more attractive than the version who was chasing. If she comes back, she's coming back to a different man, one who won't tolerate the dynamic that led to her pulling away in the first place. Silence also reveals truth. If she never reaches out, if your absence doesn't register, if she moves on without any apparent concern, you've learned something valuable. Whatever you thought existed between you wasn't real or wasn't strong enough to survive basic distance. This is painful but necessary information. It saves you from wasting more time on someone who wasn't genuinely invested. It frees you to find someone who will value your presence enough to maintain communication, who won't create unnecessary distance, who will treat you with the respect you deserve. If she does reach out, the quality of her outreach tells you everything you need to know. Is she genuinely apologetic and interested in reconnecting, or is she just testing to see if you're still available? Is she making real effort to rebuild connection, or is she sending low-effort messages, hoping you'll do the work? Is she clear about wanting you in her life, or is she keeping things vague and non-committal? Your silence has created a situation where she has to show her cards, where she can't rely on your chasing to maintain connection, where she actually has to invest if she wants you back. Her response to this tells you whether she's worth re-engaging with. Although the men who learn the value of silence have mastered it, they possess the same qualities. They have real abundance in life, not just with other women, but with purpose, friends, hobbies, objectives, and aspirations. A particular woman is not needed to make them whole. They possess self-respect and have correct boundaries. Even if the situation is painful, they can remove themselves from circumstances that are not beneficial to them. They know what they want. Time and focus are not to be lost on people that won't give the same back. There's no need to be afraid of solitude when a life worth living has been built. These men don't use silence as a manipulation tactic. They embrace it as a natural consequence of being treated poorly. When someone pulls away, they don't chase because chasing would violate their self-respect. They focus on themselves because that's what emotionally healthy people do when a relationship isn't working. They move forward with their lives because sitting around waiting for someone else would be a waste of their finite time on earth. And this authentic approach to silence is exactly what makes it so powerful. It's not a strategy. It's simply how men with options and self-respect naturally behave. The paradox of silence is that it works best when you're not trying to make it work. If you go silent hoping she'll notice and come back, you're still emotionally invested in the outcome, still giving her power over your emotional state, still operating from scarcity. But if you go silent because you genuinely value yourself enough to walk away from someone who isn't valuing you, if you use that time to build a life you love, if you become so focused on your own growth and purpose that her absence becomes genuinely irrelevant, then you've achieved the state that is most attractive, complete emotional independence. From this place, if she comes back, great. You can evaluate whether reconnecting makes sense based on how she's showing up, whether she's demonstrating genuine interest and respect, whether the dynamic has potential to be healthy. But you're evaluating from a position of strength and abundance, not from desperation and scarcity. And if she doesn't come back, that's also fine. You've already moved on. You're building something meaningful. You're not waiting for someone else to validate your worth or complete your happiness. This is the real strength of not speaking. It is not just to make her miss you, though many times that may still happen. It is more about taking back your own power, your time, your will, and your pride. It is about not taking part in things where you are not treated well. It shows you pick yourself when the other person walks away. It is knowing that a good one will not make you run after them, will not push you far, and will not play with the way you feel. The right one will not make you guess or feel lost. They will not take your love for granted. This is the gift of silence. And it's about being secure enough in your value that you can walk away from anything that doesn't align with how you deserve to be treated. The silence isn't punishment. It's protection. Protection of your dignity, your time, your emotional energy. It's a boundary that says, I will not chase people who pull away from me. I will not beg for attention from people who should want to give it freely. I will not explain myself to people who have already decided I'm not worth basic communication. I will not wait around for people who are treating me like an option. This boundary, maintained through silence, is one of the most powerful tools available for maintaining attraction and self-respect simultaneously. So when she pulls away, when the messages stop, when the distance grows, resist every instinct to chase. Don't send that text. Don't call. Don't ask what happened. Don't seek closure or explanation. Simply stop. Redirect all that energy toward yourself. Build your life. Pursue your goals. Become so focused on your own growth that her presence or absence becomes genuinely secondary to your own journey. And in that space, in that silence, one of two things will happen. Either she'll realize what she's losing and come back genuinely interested, or she won't, and you'll have already moved on to something better. Either way, you win, because you chose yourself, and that choice, that fundamental self-respect embodied in silence, is the foundation of every healthy relationship and every fulfilling life.